You are listening to the 90 Days Later podcast with Anna Charles, episode 203. Welcome to the 90 Days Later podcast, where we talk about what really happens when you take a break from drinking. And it turns out to be the best thing you've ever done. I'm Anna, coach to high achievers who are done waking up with regret and ready to feel in control around alcohol. If you've ever wondered what your life could look like with less wine and more you, you're in the right place. Hello everybody and welcome back to the podcast. Now first, I need to apologize. Did you miss me last week? I didn't show up last week. There is a really simple explanation for this. I quite simply lost my voice. Yes, I could not speak for 3 days. And you may hear already still in my voice, I do have a little bit of the flu maybe left over, but at least I can talk, albeit my voice has still dropped a little bit more. I sound a little bit more sultry maybe than my usual, but there we go. So I do apologize for not showing up last week. Okay, so today we are talking, my topic is Sober October, what will you carry forward? Because we are, 4 days shy when I'm recording this of the end of the month. And for those of you doing Sober October, there's 4 days left to go and until the Sober October program, challenge, however you see it, ends. And whether you've been all in, maybe you've been half in, or, trying to be in and keep falling out, or you're just sort of quietly watching from the sidelines, when we consider Sober October, this episode is for you, because before the month wraps up, I want you to take a moment to reflect. Quite simply, right? What has worked for you this month? What have you learned this month? What has surprised you, right? Maybe there are some things that were easier than you had suspected. And most importantly, maybe, what do you intend to carry forward? Now, this is the perfect time to pause and do this while you are still in it, right? Because then now you can decide how you want to move into November. So that's what we're doing today. Now, first, we're going to celebrate the wins. We're going to start by that. And it's going to be all of them, the big and the small. And to do this, I really encourage that you set a timer for 10 minutes, grab a pen and paper and write them down, 1 line per win. And you might say there weren't any. I didn't manage to do really anything. That is not true. I want you to really set your brain to looking for the positives. Maybe you have gone the whole month alcohol free. Woohoo! Maybe you've cut back more than you expected. Or maybe you've just started to notice the moments where you usually would have poured a drink. And maybe even if you had a drink more often than not, maybe you still paused before then. That is a good thing. Maybe you were planning your alcohol-free days, right? Remember I talk about this, that we don't just plan our drinks, we plan to be alcohol-free. Maybe you've downloaded the Off Switch app. Maybe you've been using Annie, my AI coach, who's trained on my book, right? That is my voice. It's Anna inside in that Off Switch app. By the way, it's free for right now. I am going to put a paywall around this. It's hugely valuable, that 24/7 coaching. So if you want to use Annie, get working with her, do it sooner rather than later. All right, so those could be all the type of wins. It's so important. In fact, there's a win even if you can look back and say, hey, I did that one thing well. Right? It all begins with noticing, with giving yourself credit, even if it's just one evening that felt different, or maybe one decision that you think, yeah, I decided that in advance. That wasn't an automatic, even if you did drink, that wasn't an autopilot drink. I want you to look for the progress. It is there. I cannot tell you the number of coaching calls with my wonderful clients. And, one of the first things we do each week is just look for the wins. We just do a review, what's happening in their lives. And they might have 1 or 2 wins. And then we go into all the things that didn't work, which is fine. That's why we're here. But then over the course of the call, I hear, oh, and I forgot to say this. Oh, and there was this other thing. Oh, I forgot to tell you, Anna, I really wanted to tell you this other thing I did. Right? And when we start to look for it, it is there. This is so important. This is not about giving yourself, a medal for participation. This is about seeing, okay, I have made changes. I did do some things differently. What can I learn from that? How can I take that forward? Right? It is not all doom and gloom. So we want to do that. Now, let us just say you maybe have some, and everybody will have some, but maybe it was a little thin on the ground. Maybe your month didn't go exactly as you had planned, or maybe even if you squint at the month, not at all like you had planned. Please hear me when I say this is completely normal. This is nothing to freak out about. Now, that's if you follow my way of thinking about Sober October and my whole view. So any one of you who've been listening along, I have a very non-judgmental view on this. There is nothing wrong with having a drink, as long as we sort of do it with intention and we like our reason, right? And we're in control and we understand how it fits in with what we want. So I don't see challenges, sort of challenge in the sense of a program name. I don't see periods of time like Sober October or Dry January that will be on us sooner rather before we can think about it. I don't see these as tests. I don't see these as you've got to be perfect for 31 days and then you sort of just stop and you go back to how you were. Now, if you just use these moments, these things like Sober October as a way to effectively sort of just remove alcohol for 31 days and you don't care about the long term because you just do that each time and you like your reason, fine, not a problem. My view is about let's look at what we can learn to make changes in our lives, because this isn't about whether it's 2 drinks, 3 drinks, 1 drink. It's not about this drink at all. It's about what kind of life we want, how alcohol fits in there, what purpose it serves. All of those things are far more important than the actual quantity. So therefore, I view things like Sober October as experiments. These are opportunities to try stuff out. And think about it, experiments are not right or wrong, right? They're not about that. They're about collecting data, putting forth a hypothesis, and then doing experiments to see what comes out. So instead of judging yourself, if you're really thinking, oh, it was just so bad, I am just so embarrassed, I don't even want to think about it. I do want you to think about it. That's the first step. I want you to sit down. I want you to consider the Sober October. Maybe it was completely unsober October, but we're still going to look at it. And then I want you to ask, what was going on in those moments when I decided to drink? And you don't have to do all of them. Pick a few. Take yourself back there, challenge yourself. Can I remember? What was I hoping that drink would do for me? What did the drink actually deliver? Did I actually enjoy it? Was it worth it? Lots of people say it isn't worth it, right? Let's get this information. This is gold. This shows you where your brain is still believing in those moments. Your brain is still believing that alcohol is useful. And that is the exact spot where your next layer of growth lives. Right? This is as we build this new identity up. This is the work I do with my one-on-one clients. We build a new identity around alcohol. We see ourselves differently. This involves stripping back those old layers of identity, letting them basically wilt on the vine. We're not interested in maintaining our old beliefs about it. Okay, so once we've done that, once we've looked at the wins and then we've looked at what didn't go quite so well, let's talk about what comes next. Because a lot of people finish Sober October and immediately they know on the calendar, they know when they're going to drink. It's November the 1st. It's the day I plan to drink again. Right? And I have clients who tell me even through periods of sobriety, they just knew, they kind of felt that, felt a bit anxious about the fact I know I'm going to go back to drinking. So that's what can happen normally. But what if you buck that trend? That is open to you. What if instead of going back to quote unquote normal, right? Instead of just assuming that, maybe all your friends are doing that. Maybe that's, what you're thinking right now. What would happen if you asked yourself, how could this be different this time? All right? How could this be different this time? Think about it. You've just spent a month proving you can do hard things, or at minimum, even if it was like fail, 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 you've proven that you can keep going at it. Right? Maybe you prove to yourself that you can enjoy yourself without drinking. You can connect. You can relax without automatically reaching for a drink. Yes, it might still take longer. It might be less of a skill for you right now. It might still not be your preference. You might still prefer to have a glass of wine for that. But really, how could this time be different, right, that we move forward with now? So instead of asking, can I keep this up? Can I keep Sober October up, right? And we have sort of this sense of, I'm not sure, kind of I'm clinging on. It's like the same sort of feeling people have when they say, I'm on the wagon. It's like I'm holding on to the wagon because I don't want to fall off the wagon, right? So instead of asking, can I keep this up? Try asking, what do I actually want my relationship with alcohol to look like now? Now word is important because you have been revealing some new qualities about yourself this month. Even if it is slender, right? Even if it is slender, there are some new qualities to yourself you will be seeing. Because this is again my view, but what I would offer is that the goal isn't to repeat Sober October forever. Now, of course you can. If that's your goal, go after it and you like your reasons. But I think it's about taking what worked. I think this is more fun, right? Taking what worked and making that a part of your new normal. So even if it's one teeny tiny thing that you did that you think, hey, that was kind of fun, I think I could lock that in. That's something I'd like to continue. Then we can make that part of our new normal. So if there are things you do differently next time, right? Next time there was a Sober October, or next time even you have a go at being alcohol free for a chunk of time, that is good. That is awareness. And we find these things out by asking us things like ourselves things like, what would I have changed? Right? We can look back, what would I have changed? Would I have planned ahead more? Would I have rested earlier? Would I have asked for support maybe when things got tricky? Right? We can sort of ask ourselves, what would we have done differently over the month, right? If we can look back, and here's like the killer statement here. I want you to imagine if you had actually done those things. So whatever you've identified. So maybe what if I'd planned ahead more, and you think, yeah, that would have helped if I had, done Anna's thing where I planned ahead the day before. And again, no, for me, the Sober October is not about just sobriety. It might have been, I'm just going to plan my drinks a day ahead because I'm using Sober October to get control. Imagine if you'd done those things, one of those things, all of those things, even some of them, consistently through October. If you could rewrite the past and you'd done those things, what might your results look like right now? Right? I want you to think about that. Because we get so het up about what we're going to do, and there's not enough time, and I'm so far behind, and I haven't got the result I want. But what if those things that you've identified you'd actually done? What results would you be sitting on now? Because when we take action on the things that make our results inevitable, guess what? Our results become inevitable. So the month is nearly done. But this type of growth is still available to you. You still have some days left to put into practice some of the things you've learned that you might have done differently. And then you can get already different results in October. And guess what? You can take that straight into November. So what do you want to carry forward? Right? Ask yourself, what do I want to carry forward? Maybe it's a new evening routine that actually helps you to unwind. And by the way, I have a wine-free, wind-down mini training available. If you contact me on Anna at 90 Days Later. I can send you the link for that, or check it out in the show notes. There's a link in the show notes. It's a mini offer. It's a mini course. It will get you going immediately, right? It's very tactical. So maybe, as I say, you have found a new evening routine that actually helps you unwind. Maybe you've realized how much more energy you have in the morning when you have less alcohol. It's like, whoop, I always guessed that would be the case, but actually I'm seeing it. Or maybe you want to carry forward the knowing, the knowledge, right? The deep belief that you have more control than you thought. I hear that a lot. People tell me it wasn't so hard. I actually had more control than I thought, right? You don't have to keep everything from this month. Just pick one or two things that genuinely made life better and build from there. So remember, Sober October was never about proving something or about sticking to rules. That's always outward faced. It's about how you see yourself. It's about learning about yourself. It's about learning what helps, what doesn't, what kind of life feels good for you, right? What is worth putting the effort in for. Because once you've seen that, even for a moment, you cannot unsee it. You may then choose, that's hard work. I'm not sure if I want to do that. That's a different decision. But if you see that you can do this, you actually can go through the week or the weekend, or you can go out and be the designated driver and not worry about not drinking. If you can see, even if there's a brief glimpse, I believe that could be true. You can't unsee that. And then it just becomes a case of, are you willing to go all in on that? Are you going to do it even when you don't feel motivated? I was speaking at a session yesterday for moderation management. I got asked, I'm just not motivated. The tools and tactics and so on that you give, Anna, the tips sound great, but I'm not motivated. We can take action when we're not motivated, right? We're not always going to feel motivated. If you can rely on yourself to take action even when you don't, think about the type of person you're becoming. This is how we springboard into freedom. And if you've even had a glimpse this month of what that freedom could look like or feel like, right? Clearer mornings, calmer evenings. Oh, those calmer evenings. Just less mental chatter. Do not let that fade, right? You want to build on that. Take action. Because we've got the holidays coming up. Yes. You probably didn't want to hear that, but we do. And this is one of the best times to do this work. It truly is, right? We're going into a season when we're going to have all the temptations, all the wine, all the people, all the parties, all the. And you can teach yourself that even with all of that going on, I can do different things. I had a client, that was her. We started coaching, I think, mid-December. And because she went through the Christmas drink cycle and came out of it with some she was already changing. She then knew that it was a lie her brain gave her when it said, you can't change, you can't do this, because she already saw she could at what is arguably the most challenging, most people think, time of the year. If you are ready to make what you've started this month part of your everyday life, part of your norm, this is exactly what we'll do when we coach together and we work together. Right, we'll look at where you are, where you want to be. I will build the path to get you there. You will always have a game plan. You'll know what you're doing. And we will work on this week by week by week. And you will start to change immediately. I am not kidding. Right? This stuff changes lives. Coaching changes lives. Working with me will change your life. One of my lovely clients recently told me that in her testimonial. You've changed my life. Right? That can be you. Let us make this next chapter the one where alcohol really starts to feel irrelevant. That is open to you now. You will create calmer evenings. You'll have more energy. You'll have all those positives. And if you still want to, right, you'll have the occasional drink, but it will be on your terms. So if you want to do that, so when you're ready to take action, I'm here. I'm here to work with you. go to 90dayslater.co and click on book a call, or go to the show notes and click there. And if you're listening to this and you have a friend or a partner or a colleague, or there's someone you know who would value this, please share this podcast with them. And also, if you wouldn't mind giving me a review, that would be great. I put a lot of time and effort into showing up each week, apart from when I can't speak, really to help as many people as possible. So if you can help me by giving this a review, that will in turn help more people to find this and help more people to get help. All right, so go ahead, book that discovery call with me. You know you want to. If you are listening to my stuff, if you are nodding along, then let's chat. And then I will also see you next week. If this episode hit home and you're ready to explore what life could look like with alcohol in the back seat, let's talk. I work with people one-on-one who are ready to create the relationship with alcohol that works for them, so they feel powerful in their choices and at peace with their habits. Go to 90dayslater.co and click on book a call, or grab one of the free guides in the show notes to this episode. And if this podcast is helping you, a rating or review goes a long way to help others find this work too.